Not me, but it happened to a friend of mine. He ordered from one of those apps, Uber Eats I think, and the guy took longer than usual to arrive. My friend usually doesn't tip until he gets the food because the service is different. Well, this guy didn't like waiting for his tip, so he started knocking on the door and said he wouldn't deliver the food until he got the tip. My friend freaks out and calls the police, daring to look out the window from a higher vantage point. There was no food in the hands of the courier. He had eaten their food and still wanted a tip. He also threatened them and said he would break the door and beat them. He was finally arrested when the police arrived, and every company their friend used was informed of the ordeal. They apologized profusely and gave him a few $100s in food credit. All in all, though it was scary, he didn't mind the free food, he said. I am a food courier who delivers food orders on dark city nights and lonely streets. Tonight, on a cold and rainy night, some strange things happened to me. I received an unexpected phone call. I have a special order. Go to a secret address where no one knows, a strange, dark voice tells me, accompanied by a hiss in the background. My heart beats with fear and excitement, and out of curiosity, I decide to go to this scary place. I wrote down the address carefully and moved towards the destination. When I arrive at the secret address, I find myself in front of a dark and ruined house. The heavy, shiny door hisses open and a hand reaches out to me from inside. Without hesitation, I enter the house with fear and carelessness. Inside the dark and soulless house, a long dark corridor leads to the room where the order arrives. The sound of my feet in this corridor was so loud that I was afraid of the sound of my own feet. With every step I take, someone seems to approach me in the hallway's darkness. When I reach the room door, with my hands shaking and my heart beating high, I open the door and enter the room in an eerie calm. The room is filled with lighted candles, and in the middle of the room, there is a custom-made dining table. But what catches my eye is nothing but a white sheet with a sentence addressed to me. You too are a victim. I suddenly felt a hand on my shoulder while I was shaking from fear. I looked behind me with fear and saw an old man with messy and long hair. While I was shaking from fear, he told me not to be afraid. I have nothing to do with you. Just because I was alone. I asked not to eat my dinner alone, and he asked me, will you have dinner with me? I ate dinner with him because I was terrified. We didn't say a single word during the whole dinner, and he didn't even look at me. I just wanted the dinner to be over and go out. I was very scared and had to go back to my place of work. I was thinking the same thing when he told me that you can go now. I quickly got up and he suddenly said, whenever I have an order for food, you bring it to me. And I shook my head out of fear and went out of the room and ran to the door. I had 1,000 thoughts in my head. Why is he alone? Why does he live alone? And 1,000 other questions. I didn't go to work that night and quickly returned home and called my boss and said I couldn't work there anymore. From that day on, I never worked as a courier anywhere, and the fear of that night is still with me. On a dark and rainy night, I was alone at home and decided to order a meal. On the same day, a food courier called Michael came to my door. He was a handsome and pleasant young man and delivered the order with a smile on his face. But something about Michael was strange. His eyes were full of anger. I looked at him suspiciously but did nothing. After a few minutes, the door of my house was closed with a loud sound. I quickly looked out the window, but the nicotine had limited my field of vision. Suddenly, the sound of feet coming towards my room was heard. I felt that these voices belonged to Michael. As soon as the door to my room opened with a loud bang, Michael entered. His eyes were darker and angrier than before. He attacked me with a scary smile and bloody teeth. I tried to escape with my heart beating fast, but Michael grabbed my back with a strange speed and I fell to the ground. He attacked my body with sudden force and I was trying to run away from him as fast as possible. When I was screaming in my room, the neighbors heard my voice and informed the police. With the help of the police, Michael was eventually stopped and arrested. My heart returned to peace and the feeling of security returned to my body. Later, I found out that Michael was a mental patient who had escaped from the hospital. He used to go to houses and steal as a food courier. But luckily, the police arrived just in time and saved me from him. From that day on, I always choose food couriers carefully and never let a stranger into my house. This scary experience reminded me to always worry about my safety and always pay attention to it.